Yo, what's poppin', everybody? I want to welcome y'all back to the No Level Cap podcast. We got a special Thanksgiving themed interview a week. No, we don't, but we do have an episode for you on Thanksgiving because we love y'all. I'd like to introduce everybody to the crew. We've got the collector of collectors and Twitch streamer extraordinaire, Will Coleman. What's poppin', Will?
I'm thirsty.
I don't blame him. We just wrapped up a little behind the scenes magic. We just wrapped up like a 2-hour podcast, and so like we're gearing up for episode 2 because we love y'all so much.
In case you're wondering why we're wearing the same clothes.
That is indeed why we're wearing the same clothes. Now we don't just have the same outfits. I do, but everybody else doesn't.
Hard times.
Let me tell you something about hard times, Daddy. I'm sorry. Next we got the Black Daredevil and the best actor in Austin, Texas, Terrence Flowers. What's going on, Terrence?
Hey man, it's Thanksgiving week, so we eating good food, but we also eating a lot of anime, which kind of leans into the topic of today. So, yeah,
definitely.
Let's get to it.
Definitely too much. I don't want to spoil. I don't want to jump because it's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be fun. Next up, the living cartoon and the man with the golden voice, Rakeem Beck. How are you doing, Rakeem? What's up,
man? I'm doing all right. Had some, I have some good times, had some bad times. But through it all, I'm still black, and that's a fact. Let's get it.
With it.
Slight bars.
It was bars. You think it just came from the Black Panther movie again. Lastly, we got the master of games and Mr. One Punch Man himself, Devin Butts. What's going on, Devin?
I'm good, man. Just glad to be back again. If y'all saw the previous episode, I'm making my return, man, so I'm glad to be back with the boys, man. This last episode that we just shot, as Sage just said, was a great episode, hilarious. I hope y'all check that out. We're here with the second one, about to get into some anime, which is another thing that I personally love and all the rest of us love. So I'm going to shut my big mouth and let's get started.
All right, just to be clear about this is the No Level Cap podcast where we talk about all the anime, all the gaming, all the nerd culture, none of the bullshit. You know what it is. You can catch us every Monday morning on YouTube and on Spotify. Tell everybody you know about us. Like I said last week, we have been doing quite well. Multiple episodes, over 100, 50 subscribers. Thank you for the 50th subscriber. It really means a lot to us. We had no idea. I know a lot of people get stuck at 10 subscribers, so like just the fact that we got as far as we got means a lot to me, means a lot to all of us. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Could I interest you in everything all of the time? A little bit of everything all of the time. Apathy's a tragedy and boredom is a crime. Anything and everything all of the time. When I heard that song from Bo Burnham, I was like, Christ, if that ain't the state of not just anime, but media in general, like it feels like everything, you're just constantly being bombarded all the time. I talk about this with my roommate Rakeem a lot. When you look at design, like architectural design, and I'm going somewhere with this. When you look at architectural design, so much of it is like a departure to like a minimalist type thing where everything is just like shrunken down and it's just the most like only what we need. Only the color we need, only the design we need. Everything's kind of standardized. It's all going to be minimalist. And then when you look at media, everything is maximalist. It is how much shit can we shove down your throat at any given moment? Like how much of this can you take? Did you like this space horror game? Well, we got a dozen more of them coming for you. Did you like this farming game? We got 15 more of them to shove down your fucking throat. Did you like this popular demon hunting anime? Well, guess what? It's gonna be about 8 more of them for you over the next 4 years. Just get more and more, shove more shit down your throat. Don't think, only consume. The shit is exhausting. And so I want to ask this. First off, I want to bring this up. For some people that may not know this, and I like a lot of people, most people aren't going to know this because most people hadn't done the research. I'm the only one nerdy enough to actually go back and look. When you look at like anime charts, like the seasonal charts that we come up with when we do our fall anime, spring anime, that type shit, those charts, I've looked back, I was like, man, what came out back in like the 90s when I was a kid? What came out back in 87 when I was a kid? And like, if you've never looked, it is one of the most enlightening things Because like when you look at today's anime schedule, you'll see 30, 40, 50 animes in one season. And it's like, well, I'm not gonna watch all of this. So let me see how quickly I can cut out all the bullshit and get down to like the dozen or so shows that I want to watch. And then like I'll actually watch like 3 of them because I got a life. When you go back and look at the 90s, it don't look like that. It's like 8 shows per season. There were more shows in one season, in this season, than there were in all of an entire year in the 90s. Like pick a year and there's more shows in one season than there are in an entire year, 91, 92, 97, 90. It don't matter. It's just so much shit. And so I got to ask y'all, to having this many series that you just can't keep up with, even when it's good, does that affect your interest as an anime fan? Rakeem, how do you feel?
Absolutely. I'm gonna tell y'all a very true story. I think last week there was a day, I don't know if it was like when I came home from work on the weekend or what, but I came in my room and I felt like I had an existential crisis because I felt like I didn't want to watch all the anime that day. It felt kind of like a job to like, oh, I gotta catch up on this show and this show and this show and this show. Even shows I enjoyed. I was like, man, some days I just felt zonked out. There is an overwhelmingness to just media in general because everything wants your attention. Gaming wants your attention. Television wants your attention. Anime wants your attention. Outside of your obligations to your family, outside of your obligations to your friends. And just watching anime, sometimes when you try to keep up with a season that has a lot of interesting shows that you want to watch, it can almost kind of kill some of your enjoyment or kill the momentum you had watching some of those earlier shows because it's just so much to keep up with. And you mess around and miss a week or 2 weeks for whatever reason, and you're behind, especially going into a new season after that. There's no telling if you'll be able to keep up or go back to what you had before. Basically, yes, it feels like with anime, if you mess around and miss a week or like get behind, it's damn near impossible to catch up sometimes. And you lose motivation in watching the shows you enjoy if you get behind on them. I miss Bleach, and if it wasn't for you guys having a conversation about it, or my roommates having a conversation about it yesterday, and we watched it in marathon, I might not caught up to it in time because I just was zonked out through all the stuff I was doing with work changes, stuff I'm doing my acting class, and trying to keep up with other outside of life things and getting ready for Thanksgiving to visit my family. It becomes like a point where you have too much anime, you have to think about reprioritizing not only what you watch, just the time it has in your life. Because not everybody has 3 hours they can devote to watch 8 freaking anime shows back to back. So yeah, I agree with that, Sage. And I think it kind of has become a kind of a problem every single season being bombarded by so much anime.
Can't hear you.
Sage, you
Yeah,
can't,
you muted.
You muted.
or it might just be your cake. Yeah.
Or Terrence, turn your mic off telepathically.
No, I haven't done anything.
I apologize. This show is a little off the rails. We are 2 hours in. This is our 3rd hour, so y'all just gonna have to bear with us. We wanted to bring y'all an episode on Thanksgiving, and damn it, that's what's gonna happen. All right,
Gobble gobble,
Devin.
motherfucker.
okay. Devin, does having this many anime series, like 20, 30, 40 shows a season, does that affect your interest as an anime fan?
It definitely does, and it's been like that for a while. If you all remember, I'm pretty sure y'all do, people on this panel, and I'm sure the ones watching it, AnimeCrazy.net, Anime Kiss, those websites that we used to, be on, and
I blocked that one from memory. Anime Crazy. Good lord.
that was one right there, man.
Take it
And
back.
what I would do is I would just look at the list of animes on the side. They have in the alphabetical order. And a lot of times my selection of anime would just be from how cool the title is. I start there like, oh, that sounds cool. Oh, rocket propelled fist fighters. Okay, I like the way that sounds. Let me click on that. Let me see how it looks visually and match that with the name. Okay, let me look at a little bit of the synopsis. Oh, this kind of seems cool. That's how a lot of some of my favorite animes and even animes outside of the norm that I started watching. Like one like Claymore. I feel like Claymore is kind of a niche anime. Like I was like, oh, I like the name. Yeah, very. It's like, oh, just Claymore. And then like I'm like, oh, this is my type of anime. And now I do the same thing now. And if you think about it, it's just like think about Netflix. I think they call it like choice paradox or choice paralysis.
Yes.
It's so many things.
Yeah.
So many options. You go on Netflix, I want to watch that. I want to watch that, but that's look good. Or that like people talk about that. Oh, that's good.
It's like overabundance of choice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you just wind up not making a choice. You be like, dang. So what I just do is I just try to weed out and find what I really like. For me, JoJo Bizarre Adventure is my favorite and my top anime right now. So I just finished watching Stone Ocean not too long ago. It's a no-brainer. Stuff like newer animes. I'm trying to think of what I've been watching recently. Of course, the Bleach. I couldn't miss that. Bleach is one of my favorite animes of all time, even though people have their opinions about it. This new Bleach that got with the ending is just awesome. So there's no way I'm gonna miss that. But I do agree there's a lot of stuff coming out. I just think these studios, they just want to bombard you with stuff like, hey, we got to give them more choices. We gotta bring this show out. And don't let something hot come out, just like Sage was mentioning before about Demon Slayers. There's gonna be something that comes out that's similar. I think I talked about this a while back. Actually, there's two examples that I can think of. Megalobox. There's another Netflix anime that's almost the same premise, and I was like, wait a minute, that's Megalobox. All right, he got a little thing to help him box. I'm like, okay. Action Attack on Titan. There's a Netflix specific anime. They're like
that one I know. Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress, I think.
Oh, that's some.
Yeah.
Oh, if that's what you're talking about, yeah, that's the same studio. So you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like 3D CG animated. I don't think yeah, I think so.
No,
Like,
not Cabaneri. Cabaneri was
that's not Cabaneri.
All 3D.
Okay. That was very Attack on Titan-ish, and it's one more. Baki. What is it? Ashra?
Baki and King Gun Ashra.
Yeah.
I was like, hold on now. Like this, even like the character tropes is like, okay, all right, we got the token black guy. He's doing some weird. All right, okay. So we just gonna keep doing this. Which I mean, if you think about it, it's been done before. It's nothing new. Just like, but usually it's within the same studio. Like Yu Yu Hakusho, Hunter x Hunter shows a lot of similarities, but it's the same person. Same creator. So that makes sense. But if we think about Dragon Ball, the influence that it had after Dragon Ball, I'm pretty sure that was something that came before it. But Dragon Ball was probably the staple anime that inspired everybody else to start doing a bunch of and key blast and transformations and a lot of high speed hands going on and high velocities. So after you see that, you like, everybody love Dragon Ball, so I want to do it too. So I think part of it is people just want to hop on the wave of what's hot. Oh, Demon Slayer hot. Well, let me make something with a guy with a sword carrying his sibling on his back, and we're gonna be fighting out here with these swords. So I just there isn't too much, but like I said, I just weed out stuff that I really like because I don't have time to watch everything. Because if you do that, then you're gonna be sitting there watching anime for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so two things. Devin, you coming in hella hot on that mic.
Really?
Yeah, it's hella hot.
I did turn him down, but yeah,
we already off the rails. So I mean, we just gonna fix this mid fucking podcast. It is what it is. Give me a little, give me something. Tell me about some
testing.
A little better.
Is this maybe I'm too close? Is that good?
Yeah, I think because you leaned in. Yeah, you just came in way too hot.
I got passionate. I had to lean in on the subject, man. I got to stay cautious of that. I got to keep myself.
I'm actually pretty happy that you passionate about the subject. I was kind of sure.
Now I'm gonna shut up.
I was kind of unsure if this was gonna be the hit that I wanted it to be. So I'm glad that y'all passionate about it. Terrence, how do you feel? Does this mini series affect your interest as an anime fan?
So I'm going to give kind of like a contrasting answer where it hasn't diminished my interest as a fan because despite like all the bad shows that we've gotten, and trust me, there's definitely some stinkers every season. There's so much good anime that we've gotten as of late, even just this decade, like these past 5 years. there's been a lot of really, really good anime. I mean, just this year we've had Spy Family, Ranking of Kings, Attack on Titan, The Return of Bleach, My Dress Up Darling, just so many. There's a lot that I could name. But while yes, we have like a lot of bad shows every season, like that doesn't diminish like how many good ones we get. But at the same time, I agree with what you were getting at, Devin, is that the real problem here is like an overabundance of choice, where because we get so many good shows, it can kind of get, well, not even kind of, it gets overwhelming. It's hard to keep up with a lot of it. Like just this season alone, fall 2022, there's so many good shows this season that I've been having a hard time just keeping up with everything. And this is all like in any normal season, just one of these shows would be high profile. But for this season alone, you have stuff like Mob Psycho 3, Bleach, Chainsaw Man, remakes like what's the one with the girl in the tiger dress? the one by the creative Inuyasha.
Urusei Yatsura.
Yeah,
Yatsura,
Urusei Yatsura.
yes.
Yeah, you have something like that. Like just the fact that all those shows exist in one season, it's crazy. Like something like that would never have happened, like you said, Sage, like in the 90s or like the 2000s. You would have gotten those like one every season instead of just all crammed into one season. But yeah, it's just a lot to keep up with. Because I remember when Winter 2021 came, that was pretty much the big season where a lot of shows came back because we were starting to adjust to COVID. And there were so many shows that season that I burnt out on watching anime. Like it was hard for me to keep up with anime for that entire year just because that season completely burned me out. So I'll just say that while it hasn't diminished my interest as an anime fan, like if anything, I feel like now is the best time to be an anime fan. I mean, anime is pretty much mainstream now. So yeah, now is better than ever to get into it. But I will say that if you're the type of person that you're wondering where to start, it can be very overwhelming just because there actually are so many good shows out there that people can recommend to you that you'd be like, so should I watch this? Should I watch that? And you really ultimately have to use your discernment now. You have to use your discernment for what you should keep up with and what you should just kind of put to the side or just not even bother with just because other stuff is going to take priority. So those are my thoughts, is that I think that the industry is at a great spot, but yeah, we're getting too much. Yeah, it's just, and that's not even just an anime thing. It's an entertainment industry thing where everything is vying for our attention. So yeah.
So for me, the answer is no, it's not affecting my interest. It is making me reprioritize. And there are some shows that at a time I might have been like, yeah, I get out a try. And between me growing up, and this is also, we talked about this gaming in your 30s, like how you like there are games that, you know, it'd be nice if I played them, and then there are games that I have to play. And it's the same thing with anime. There are certain anime that it's like, yeah, I mean, you know, it'd be cool if I watch like, and there are some seasons where I'll be like, yeah, man, this is a great selection of shows. And the only thing I hate is that it's making me change. Like, I have to step out of my, I want to step out of my comfort zone sometimes, but like, how can I? Like, I'm like looking at all these anime that I like. I'm like, I gotta watch this. This one of the ones for me. Like, I gotta watch the new Gundam. I gotta watch what's the shit? Oh, Spy Family. I gotta watch Spy Family. Like, I gotta see that. And then like I think of a series, and we're gonna get into this later, but there was a series a few years back, Young Blackjack, and it was like based off of this character called Blackjack, like a classic, I think 70s anime character. And it was like I love when they kind of take that same look and style and kind of update it for the modern era. It like still look like 70s, but it be in HD. I'm like, yeah, it's dope. So I was like, I really wanted to check that out, but that season was busy as fuck. And I was like, ain't got time for this. And so like I watched 1 or 2 episodes of it, and very quickly I was like, gotta prioritize it out. And that is the thing that sucks. And I disagree with Terrence just a little bit in that there used to be a lot of heavy hitters. I think one time me and Will was having this conversation in Discord, And I said something about like, yeah, man, pick 1997 and take a look at what was out back then. And
Oh, yeah.
we both picked 1997 and looked at it, and it was like some heat. I was like, oh
It
my God.
was.
I didn't realize there was this much heat that came out. It was less shows, but more of them. Well, I don't say more of them. Percentage wise, more of them were good just because it was
Would you
fewer
say it's
shows.
like a quality thing? It was quality over quantity?
Yeah, a little bit. Like, and I mean,
that.
like that's kind of gonna be the next question a little bit. But yeah, it was a little bit quality over quantity. I'm like, damn, like all these shows some heat. Like it was one or two. It was like I think maybe 12 shows, which is you're not gonna be in all 12 no way. But it's a difference between paring down 12 shows and you go, okay, well, these 3 I'm interested in, and then the other 12, the other 9, you know, whatever, I'll miss out on them. But like, or like 60 shows, and you like, first off, where the fuck do I start? And you just like, I had to dismiss some shows just out of hand because I'm like, this genre, not my genre, and I hate doing that. Outside of like horror, which is a genre that I just abhor in general. Outside of that one, like anytime, or dystopia, also dystopia. Outside of those 2 genres, anything else, I'd be like, fuck, I hate to dismiss it, but like, I'm not no super big slice of life fan. I'm not no super big romance fan. And so unless you give me a pitch, a high concept pitch that catches my eye immediately, like Wotakoi, something like that, if you don't have that, I'm out. Like I'm out the door immediately. And it doesn't affect how much I love anime, but it is affecting how I look at anime and which shows I choose, and I hate that. Will, how do you feel? Like, does this mini series affect your interest as an anime fan?
I'm always going to be interested, but I'm also in that area of what Terrence and Devin said about it's so much choice, so much to look at and be like, hey, I'm gonna watch this, I'm gonna watch that. But then I get to the point where I don't watch anything. And also, ladies and gentlemen, to let y'all know when this man rings me in as the collectors, he doesn't lie to you. I have much more. But yeah, so you could imagine
Dice
me
Shogun?
yeah,
Not bad.
got Dai Shogun in there. I got a lot of this here. I got a lot of Blu-rays and DVDs, and I have a hard time sometimes looking through this. I even have a Crunchyroll subscription, and he mentioned Young Blackjack. That's been on my list for a while now, and I haven't got to it.
It's still on my
And I'm
plan to
just
watch list and my anime list, but I mean, like, I'm being realistic about it. Like, man,
yeah,
it would
like
I'd have to be. They'd have to stop making good anime for a while before I got back
yeah,
around to it.
That's like me and the Moriarty anime. I really want to watch that, but I just haven't.
Man,
man,
we're gonna
what?
get into this a little bit later. But Moriarty the Page, I've been wanting to watch that for a while, but it's always something going on, and there's like an anime that's like 2 or 3 anime that's like a tier higher, and I'm like, I ain't got time to go back to this. But I really want to see Moriarty the Patriot. Go ahead, Will.
Right. But yeah, like it hasn't like destroyed my interest or like kind of made my interest go down in anime. It just made me be like, there's so much to watch. What do I pick to watch? And then sometimes I even go back to when I finally kind of branched out to to the anime where it kind of opened up to me instead of me having what was curated to me on TV with Toonami and everything. And you know, the internet really kind of got a better stable place for me to go and watch some stuff. I was like, I could just watch stuff now. I don't have to sit up here and wait. There are people out here translating this stuff and giving me subtitles, so I can watch these things. And what I used to do, it was almost like what Devin did, like pick one and just go. But what I would do is I would just go down like a letter or something and just be like, all right, we're gonna start this one. And that's how I ran into just a bunch of random shows I'd never seen before or never heard of. And that's kind of how I do with my little collection of Blu-rays here, or sometimes I do that with my Crunchyroll playlist. I'll just go down and be like, let's watch something that's not right this instant. That's like not running right now. Let's get something that's done and watch some of that and see if we like it. If we don't, we take it off the list and keep going. If we like it, stick with it. That's kind of how I do. So, because I just got a ton to watch and I don't know what to really do with myself a lot of times. So I'm just like, the only way I watch it is if I just pick something and go.
That is how you get over choice paralysis. You just have to like swallow the bullet and say, whatever I pick, I'm gonna stick with it. So I guess the next question I gotta ask, and this is kind of the elephant in the room, how much of this is down to like the Isekai plague, like the Sword Art Online, the Log Horizon, Log Horizon wasn't really, but it was like this one of the clones. And there are a couple more clones that I'm not thinking of like right off the bat. Mushoku Tensei is a clone. Rise of the Shield Hero. I keep thinking of like shows that are like I like a
Overlord
lot.
be one?
You say what?
Or Overlord be in that category?
Yes, all of those. how much of this is down to like the Isekai plague? Because like it's always a new Isekai coming out every season. I remember, and I do like lists sometimes, and I remember one list I had to do was the top 10 Isekai that came out in one season, and I was like, this is insane. Isekai is not a genre; it's a subgenre, and for it to be 10 shows from one subgenre in one season was nuts. But that was what it was. And so, like, I'm wondering how much of this is down to Isekai, how much of this is just the way of the modern era of television, and I'm gonna add on a third question. You can kind of roll this in. Is it resulting in worse anime overall? Terrence, how do you feel about this?
Isekai, I feel like it's kind of like a mixture of both, where I don't want to fully blame Isekai, because the thing is, if people weren't watching Isekai and they weren't like heavily invested into them, they wouldn't get made. Like, somebody's watching these shows. There's a reason why they keep coming out. People keep watching them, so there's definitely interest there for them. So that's why we keep seeing them. If people, I know, like, we always see the discourse online where people say like, I'm tired of Isekai, like, get rid of, like, throw the whole damn genre away. But somebody out there is watching all the Isekai, and they're keeping those studios in their bag. So I don't want to fully blame on Isekai. I really do think that it's just a matter of, we just have so many anime now that it's just overwhelming, where there's just a lot going on here. I mean, it's just kind of like, I kind of answered this question in my last one, where it's just like an overabundance of choice. We have so many anime every season that it's hard to pick out the ones that you want to stick with, or the ones that are good. You can't, like what you were saying, Devin, earlier, how you would go to a website and you would just look at the title and like, yo, that sounds interesting enough, let me go with that. It's like, yeah, you could do that in the the 2000s and like the 2010s, but now there's just so much out there where it's like, you go off just the well, not only that, but the titles nowadays are wild. So
I'm gonna get into that. That's gonna be part of my
these
answer.
these light novel titles are out of this world now.
Yes.
Yeah. But
That time I talked on a podcast with 5 of my friends.
You know what? And the funny thing is, although we laugh about it, that could actually be a title of an anime now. Like, that's actually feasible, and it's insane. But yeah, so much of the entertainment industry now is fighting for our attention that it's, and this isn't even just a Crunchyroll thing or like whatever anime streaming service you're talking about. I mean, there's Netflix, Peacock, Paramount, HBO Max, Hulu, all of them. I mean, you could even toss something like YouTube on there, which is like a juggernaut in and of itself, where, people are making content. Like, there's like thousands of videos uploaded per minute. It's just insane. So yeah, everything is vying for our attention. Like, even advertisements, everyone's trying to get in front of you and say, hey, look at me, hey, look, listen,
Yep, that's correct.
That's how all of it is. What was the last question that you added, Sage?
Do you think it's resulting, like all these new shows, is it resulting in worse series overall?
I don't think it's resulting in worse series overall, because, I mean, like I said earlier, we get so many great anime, but
No, I'm talking about not the good shows, but like the worst. Like, do we get more bottom tier series as a result?
Oh, you mean, are like the bad series even worse? Like, are the bad series even badder?
Yes.
In comparison to like years prior? Right.
Like, do you feel like we get more garbage now than we got back in the 90s or in the early 2000s?
Oh, I see. Kind of like shovelware in a sense.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I would agree that I feel like we do get more bad series now, just because, they can put them out there, and even if they're bad, you have people now that'll watch stuff that's bad just because, sometimes you watch something and it's so bad that it's good in a way. Kind of like
you got the no drop click, like the people who just won't drop an anime no matter how shit it is, and they just gonna watch it regardless. You got them. So,
and then there's some anime where they're trash, but sometimes you just like watching trash. I mean, it just is. There was a show that came out. shoot, I cannot think of the title of it. But it was like if I explored a dungeon. Shoot, I forgot what it was like. A protagonist who he had like this ability to like see the future or something, but what he would get headaches from it, and so the only way to alleviate that was to like kiss women. It was so weird. Like, I'm explaining.
That's so Raven.
What? That's so weird. Anyway, I wasted too much time. Yeah. Overall, yeah. I mean, we are getting a lot of bad series, but I don't want to fully blame it on Isekai. I think that it's just we just have a lot of anime, and because the industry is successful, they just keep tossing all of it at us. You know. Hopefully, all that made sense.
No, it made perfect sense. Let me set the tone a little bit, since I did come up with all these questions today. To me, as far as like how much of this is down to the Isekai plague, and that had to be part of these questions. It feels like a little bit of a softball, but I feel like it has to be part of the questions because when you talk about there being too much anime, there are so many Isekai. But I've said this, I think, on this show, and I've definitely said it in a conversation with y'all. There's always a dominant genre in anime. In the 80s, in the 70s, it was mecha. In the 80s, it was mecha still, really. With a little bit of shonen. In the 90s, it was like fantasy with shonen coming up. In the 2000s, it was absolutely shonen with like a little bit of slice of life, like kind of trying to come up and creep up in the background. There's always been a dominant genre. And I mean, you know, it's not just Isekai, it's the anime with the long titles, you know, my sister's swole and got a crush on me and can backhand the final boss easily. Or like,
I'm not gonna lie, you all are coming up with some interesting titles.
I got a better one than that. That time I got reincarnated as a bucket of KFC chicken and had to avoid getting eaten. It's like, man, bullshit off,
Extra
like
crispy.
like I mean, like it's always something new. Like like all jokes aside, they are making an anime out of that time
That time I froze in time.
that's like an actual thing they doing. And I'm like,
can
well,
you repeat that real quick? Because on our end, you
on our end, you straight up
yeah.
froze.
No, you don't have to fix anything. Just like just
like
just
no,
say
like
it
your
over.
mic is fine, but you froze.
Yeah, for whatever reason, you just froze for all of us. But you're good now.
Yeah, like
I was just saying, like, you know, they're actually making an anime out of that time I got reincarnated as a soda machine.
Oh,
that's the one I was thinking about.
Yeah.
You know, that's a real anime that's coming out soon. So like, it is very much we gotta copy the thing that's being successful, even if we don't have a good idea for it. Like we got to do because we got to try to have some type of success on the market. And I do think it's resulting in worse series overall. I do think when you look at some of these shows, it's like this has no business on the air. And it's only on the air in Japan because they need more content. Like somebody was like, look, we don't care. You got some more content, put it on. And I think that sucks because I think also one of the things we don't think about, and this isn't just for worse anime series, but good ones, the studios. There aren't that many studios over there. And Mappa is working their ass off right now.
Bro,
every time I turn around, Mappa
man.
Mappa's knee deep.
They definitely
They got Vinland Saga coming out next season, and they're working on Chainsaw Man, which is like insane production wise right now. So it's like, man, can you all get a break?
That's what I'm saying.
And that's part of this. That's part of like I think about all the animators. They're not getting paid shit to begin with, and then they like, hey, look, we need you to animate 80,000 episodes of one anime, and then 20,000 of this other anime, and then another 5,000 of this 12-episode anime. And we need this shit by Thursday. It's like, god damn, like, can they go to sleep? Can they have a sandwich? Can they take a break? Like, can they do any of that? And the answer is no, because they always got to shove some more trash down our throats. And some of it is great. Like, Mappa does have a reputation for, like, a lot of high-quality products. But, like, some of this stuff would be higher quality, not just from Mappa, but from every studio, if the animators had more time and, like, weren't working under, like, a ridiculous, we going to pay you 30 cents per episode, and we're going to ask you to do 80 episodes. And, you know, that type. Like, it's not good for them. It's not good for us, like we talked about with choice paralysis, and I hate it. But like that is the world that it is. Like I kind of a leading question, and I kind of feel bad about putting it there, but like it is the way of the modern era of television. It kind of sucks. Rakeem, what do you think, man? How much of this do you think is down to Isekai, and do you think all of this anime is resulting in just worse shows overall?
Look, man, I'm tired of Isekai. I'm straight up with you, bro.
Mm.
There was a day I looked up at Crunchyroll and I saw so many Isekai, I just turned Crunchyroll off. I was like, bro, what are y'all doing? And it's crazy because I had conversations with other anime fans who are like my workplace, and my friend had no problem. He literally actively just looked for Isekai. This guy, I was talking to a guy, he loved Isekai so much. He's like, hey, man, there's new Isekai out. I'm checking it out. Let me tell you this. I'm talking about other Isekai. My favorite anime of all time is the Isekai. He's all in on the Isekai. And I think that's a part of why this genre got so popular is not only that they flood the market with it, people got used to it. And it kind of reminds me of how we talked about there's always a dominant genre. That's how I was as a kid with shonen anime. And there was a point where shonen could do no wrong for me. As long as it was decent quality, I'd watch it.
Do you know what? I was
just
kind of wondering about that. Like, is Isekai kind of like shonen in that regard, where it's like for some people that's just their genre?
It's just their thing.
Yeah.
We'll only be able to know this for sure in the years to come. Like in the same way that like Dragon Ball Z and the big three have become these like fucking monsters that like the TikTok kids that's in their early to mid 20s won't shut the fuck up about. We'll only know this when like the next wave of anime fans they get from like their teens and like their mid 20s, and then like all of a sudden if they never shut the fuck up about Isekai, it's like, yep, that's what it was.
You know what? Fair point.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I feel like for me personally, I get it. I get why they're there. Doesn't mean I have to like it. Doesn't mean I want to be there. And at a certain point, man, I think it's kind of a little bit creatively bankrupt to just keep pushing out the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Even if it
I agree
monetarily
with that.
it's the right decision. Creatively, it's kind of And like you said, when you just flood the market with all the isekais from all the light novels, every light novel they can think of, they see on the side, hey man, I read this for 2 pages. Let's make an anime out of it. Look, man, like you said, like we're just working animators to death, and they have been doing some great job with some of these series. And I think it would be better sometimes if we could just take a break and just you can't really just take a break like that because it has to continue moving. But I mean, like I kind of want anime to kind of almost have like a reset period where they figure out a better way of putting out a broader range of shows instead of just the most dominant genre at the time. But that's not how TV works. They go with what's popular. Once it wanes in popularity, they move what's more popular next. That's the way of the world. I don't know what the next genre will be. Who knows? It could be
It's
Taco.
impossible to know. Like nobody could like nobody saw Isekai being because like real quick because I'm gonna move on to Devin after this because I mean we've been shooting a long ass time. But like nobody knew Isekai was gonna be the dominant genre until Sword Art Online became the hit that it was because Isekai was around before Sword Art Online. Inuyasha was an Isekai.
Yeah, technically it is.
Escaflowne was an Isekai.
Yeah.
Sure was.
Magic Knight Ray Earth was an Isekai. Those were like all the
Mare.
OG Isekais.
Man.
Yeah.
Mare split the difference. Mare was a shonen and an Isekai. Bro
It
went to
was.
another world and had
Bleach?
shonen adventures.
Bleach a hybrid?
Bleach
It was the
is
original
low-key
Shinji
kinda-
Adventures.
Don't do Mare like that.
Don't do that.
It was definitely a Shinji Adventures ass show. It wasn't as good as Flame of Recca, I'll say that. But like it's like you can't know what the next genre is until you see that one anime that's like set itself apart and becomes like that. Oh my god, what like we can't escape it. You'll know when you see it, like in the same way that Sword Art Online, when you saw it and it was just everywhere. It's like, yep, this is the next one up. And so like there's no way to predict it, I guess. Devin, like how do you feel? Like how much of this like anime everywhere is down to like the Isekai plague? And do you think all these anime is kind of resulting in worse series?
I don't think it's Isekai play because for me personally, Sword Art was my first one. I know people got a lot to say about SAO, but I liked it. I now after the original, they started doing the guns and extra stuff. I'm like, okay, it's kind of getting out there. And the only two, but they just kept going. I'm like, all right, y'all kind of doing a little too much. I just preferred it when it was just the original with the sword and stuff. And the only other two I think that I really just gave a chance was like Overlord and Log Horizon. And I didn't finish watching those. But I will say, with anime in general and the isekai genre, I love RPGs. And one of the reasons I got into anime is because a lot of these stories felt like they could be like RPG game stories, like One Piece. One Piece to me would be like a perfect RPG style story. These people
Literally.
set out on an
It
adventure
is getting
to
one.
I mean,
You gotta-
it is going
yeah.
to have an RPG as of January. One Piece Odyssey.
which looks kind of fire. I hope it's good. But it was like, man, you building a party. Oh, we start out with 3 people. Oh, wait, let me recruit you. Oh, we want this dude. Like, that's why I started getting into anime. So I don't think it's necessarily the isekai's fault. I do think it's more related to that second part of the question of the media, how the media is now. We're just bombarded with everything. All these apps is like, hey, you need Disney Plus, you need Netflix, you need all of them. But they already got some of them got the same thing. No, you need all of them. Like, but I don't want to. I can't watch all of them. You need all of them.
All of them.
So
Come on.
obviously the anime studios are going to kind of do the same thing. And let's be honest, there's been so much stuff that's been imitated and copied and pasted. Sometimes it's just kind of inevitable to a point. And I do think it's kind of cool when they do bring like these new subgenres. Because like I said, I wasn't really super familiar with Isekai until Sword Art Online. Like I said, that was my introduction to it. Do I think it results in worse anime? Yes and no. But I will say this for certain, that it allows you, like we've already said, to weed out stuff, and it makes things like One Punch Man. Well, for me personally, I'm saying One Punch Man and JoJo. Animes like that are so unique and so good because there's not much anything else like them. I don't really think you can say there's much else that's like One Punch Man, like a whole satire anime about a dude that literally can't lose.
Give it enough time, and there will be.
But you see what I'm saying? But you see, One Punch Man been out for a minute, and
Well, you know what the problem is? It went on break for too long.
Yep.
yeah,
You know, and you know what? I feel like to some extent, One Punch Man, and I could be completely wrong about this because I don't live in Japan and I have not done the research on this. I feel like One Punch Man was bigger in America than it was in Japan.
You know,
I would think
that's
so.
probably. I think you say what, Will?
I said I would think so because I
I
believe
agree.
One Punch Man was pretty big in America
Yeah.
compared to Japan.
Like,
I
I
agree.
remember we used to all sit around at your old place, Devin, watching One Punch Man.
Yeah.
Like it was just One Punch Man Sundays. We just all be sitting there watching
Man.
Saitama and watching everybody else try to like say stop dying before Saitama got there. I remember that. And
Yeah.
like I just don't feel like if that show was as big in Japan as it was here, because like you got like random comedians, like Bill Burr has a whole bit about One Punch Man. That's
He does.
insane. Like that's the kind of like it got bigger than like a lot of anime series, but I feel like if it was that big in Japan, they wouldn't, because I feel like what they've been doing is waiting on the manga. Like there's the web manga and then the actual manga, and the web manga is like way ahead, but the actual manga is like the more fleshed out version of it.
Yeah.
And if it was as popular as like it was over here, they wouldn't have waited. They would have been like, nope, we just gonna go ahead and adapt the web manga, keep this shit going, keep the gravy train rolling, baby. And even it, like they even passed it off to like a worse studio. There's no way you do that if it's the same kind of hit over here. So maybe that's why we never got like the clones, Devin.
Hey, like I said, to me, I can appreciate it because, like I said, JoJo's my number one right now, and I just, to me, this is unique, one of the most unique anime out there. I don't think that there's really anything that I can say is similar to it that I've seen.
So
Even
many
like
references. Other anime make insane amount of references to
Yeah.
JoJo. Yeah.
yeah, it's very influential. But there's not really a lot of copycats, even Mob Psycho 100. So when you get flooded with all these other like kind of run-of-the-mill mediocre shows, that makes those stand out that much more. Like, oh, let me watch that. And also, this is something I also do. When I get to the point where I'm like bombarded with choices, I go back and watch something else that I already watched that was good. Like recently, I've been rewatching Cars 100 because I was looking on Netflix. I can't find it. Oh, let me just watch it. I know this was good. It's fire. I'm gonna watch it again.
That's a good point.
You know, when you can't find
watch
them to watch what you was already good. You know,
I don't want to stretch this out too long, but I do want to bring up that like it feels like rewatching, at least for me, has become like a lost thing. Like there was a time growing up where like reruns were like a daily part of your life. Like if you watch television, reruns were a daily part of your existence. That it was inescapable
Facts.
as long as you was like a big television watcher. Because like eventually you hit the summer hit. And all them shows that you was watching, like, look, it's over with. We it's reruns for all the summer. You at home.
It's hiatus cost hiatus.
It's hiatus. Exactly. That's all it was. And so now I feel like I don't know when it happened, but like I used to rewatch shows so often. I had a whole lot, like not for anime, but like for like Western shows. I have lines, full blocks of Family Guy episodes memorized. To this day, there are certain parts of Family Guy that I could just recite and be like, yep, that was part of Family Guy. Futurama, other shows, like other like TV shows, Scrubs. I used to watch the hell out of Scrubs and just I can recite whole bits of Scrubs, whole blocks of episodes of Scrubs. Because like, and yeah, I'm sure y'all have your own shows that y'all watch a shit ton that like you could just recite from memory like back in the day. And I feel like that's become like a lost art. And like Devin saying like, yeah, I just go back and rewatch. I mean, like, to some extent, there are people that do that. Certainly, like non-anime fans, because like it's a reason why Friends in The Office they keep fighting over that shit when it come to like licensing time for streaming and shit. People keep rewatching. Like it ain't all new viewers. It's mostly rewatching. So I don't know. Like maybe you got a point. Like in fact, actually, now that I think about it, ain't that what happens? Like with choice paralysis is a really dumb thing to think about, but like isn't that what happens? Like people get like paralysis of choice and then they just pick the shit that they know they gonna like and just watch that again.
Yeah. That's very true. That is part of it. Yeah.
I don't do that, but I feel like people in general do that, huh?
No, that's true.
Yeah, it happens.
Like even with Netflix, like recent, that's some new anime on Netflix that I'm really interested in just by looking at the cover and the names. One is like called something Bastard that looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
I can't
Bastard.
remember the whole
Bastard.
Yeah, just Bastard.
That looks dope. And I put on my I put like 10 anime on my to watch list, but I probably hadn't even got to
2 of them.
None of them. The only one I watched was Stone Ocean because I know I love JoJo. I gotta watch that. I can't not watch that. Just like Stacey, I got some that I know I gotta watch. Other ones can be like, I get to it, but JoJo, I got to watch that.
Will, how do you feel, man? How much of this like too much anime shit is down to like the plague of isekai, or is it just the way it is in modern TV, or is it just like resulting in worse series overall? Like, is all this shit just resulting in worse anime, like more shovelware and shit?
I don't think it's down to isekais because even though we do get a ton of those, we definitely can't deny the fact that things like Sword Art Online and Law of Horizon and things like that have just kind of given way to it, kind of paved that road for more of them to kind of step out. I think it might be a little bit deeper now, and I think it might be something just as simple as the advancement of time and technology kind of made it more like you just can push more stuff out, and a lot of things have gotten more chances to get out. So, like, instead of us getting like those 12 to 20, I would say 12 to 20 shows a season, it jumped up to 30, 40 because so many things can have a chance to get animated now because there's a lot more eyes, a lot more people just like, oh, I want this to be animated. I want that to be animated. Oh, this will look good animated. This, and that. And I think a lot of it also has to do with like manga sales and light novel sales too. Because if something sells well enough on paper, you think it could probably sell well enough in animation. So,
well, it's actually the other way around. Well, it's kind of what you said, but it's like basically when a light novel is already selling well, they'll make an anime for the purpose of getting you to buy the light novel more. Like it's basically advertisement, like push out, like go buy the light novel, bro.
Yeah. So I think it's something along the lines of like that right there. That's what I think it is. I think it's just we've had this time where like we can only push out so much, but now that we have like quote unquote a machine on hand, we can push out so much more and get so many more things out there, so many more titles, so many more names, so many more artists, creators, and so on and so forth to make this stuff. What's up, Terrence?
I was just gonna say real quick that that brings up a very good point because I mean there's even anime now that when there's anime about the creation process with creating a manga and creating an anime, like that manga to anime transition, and they talk about how once you get that anime adaptation, that's like the sign of success because then that sells the light novel or the manga and it just fuels itself. And yeah, it's one of those things where it kind of goes back to the whole thing about whenever the anime has ends abruptly or doesn't end the way you want to, it's like, go read the manga. That kind of,
that's the reason why
I'm
they
about to
do
say,
it.
that
Exactly
feeds
it.
into it, yeah. So there you
They're
go.
like, oh, you upset about how it ended? Go buy the manga. Like that's the whole point. I like to end on a positive note. Well, this is positive but not positive, but like it's our chance to like hype some shit up. What is a great series you feel got overlooked because it's just too many damn shows now? Terrence.
So for this year, one that I'll say, and it's really it's not just because it didn't just get overlooked just because nobody was paying attention to it. They kind of couldn't legally pay attention to it. Is a summertime rendering.
Oh,
And it's Disney's fault. Disney, they licensed the show, and unlike what they did with Bleach, which was the smart decision, they put Bleach on Hulu for Western audiences, I believe. So they gave people a way to watch it after getting so much pressure to do so. With summertime rendering, I believe it's complete, but they haven't put it on Disney Plus, haven't put it on Hulu, and we don't know how Disney is going to do anime. Like, we don't know if they're going to go like the Netflix route and, once the series is done, then they'll dub it in every language and then release it or what. We have no idea. And so as a result, right now, the anime is just kind of in limbo. And I've heard nothing but great things about the anime. I didn't finish it just because, well, other stuff came up as we've kind of talked about in this episode.
Yeah.
But I do plan on next month, December, I do plan on revisiting it just when I have more free time. But yeah, summertime rendering, I heard great things about it all this year, and it's a shame that it got no buzz whatsoever just because you couldn't watch it legally. And yeah, that is on Disney, but it's also on the fact that there were so many other shows that you could watch. It's like, why would I bother with this one that I gotta go hunt for? I know we talk a lot about how if you want to watch a show, there's plenty of ways to watch it now. But if we're being honest, the average consumer now, if it's not available on a legal streaming service and it's not easy to just get to, they ain't gonna watch it. It just is
Look,
what
let
it
me tell you
is.
something.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
piracy shit, which I mean, like, I'm not finna be the guy to pretend like I don't still pirate some things, but I'll tell you this: that the days of the majority of the anime fan base not just pirating but knowing where to go pirate shit, that shit gone.
Yeah.
And it ain't coming back. You don't put that genie back in the bottle. There's too many different places where you can like stream a show and legally and just like, oh, I'm gonna just pay for Crunchyroll or I'm gonna just pay for Netflix. And really, with anime outside of Crunchyroll, Netflix, that's probably it for the casual anime fan.
Yeah.
And so, like, a lot of shows are going to get overlooked, especially if, like you said, it's too hard to find it. That's just gonna be it.
Yeah. And just real quick, this one isn't really, I don't think it's like, I've seen quite a few people talk about it, so I don't think it's really underrated per se, but just because this season is so huge, it's easy for something like it to get swept under the rug. But I am truly enjoying Bocchi the Rock. It reminds me so much of K-On! and Haruhi. Those are the shows that really got me into slice of life. Shouts to Kyoto Annie. But yeah, I'm really am enjoying that show. It's a treasure in this season, so I'll give a shout out to that real quick.
Will, giving everybody else a chance, just in case you haven't thought of one. I know Will always got the recommendations on deck. What is a great series you feel got overlooked because there's too many shows right now?
Well, I actually started digging backwards because, like I said, I am keeping up with the current hot stuff right now. So I decided I'm gonna go backwards a little bit, and I decided to look into a season where I really wasn't watching much of anything or doing much of anything because pandemic happened. Fall 2020, a show called Talentless Nana. I decided I wanted to watch
Man,
that.
yeah, Among Us the anime.
Exactly. That's literally what it is. And
What a
I
pitch.
promise you that first episode threw
dark.
me for a loop. I'm just like, yo, okay, so it's focusing on this guy here. It's all good. Then all of a sudden, he reveals he has a talent, which is basically like he can block powers from happening. And I'm just like, that's pretty cool because there's a bunch of other people that like someone controls fire, someone can shrink themselves, and et cetera, things like that. But then out of nowhere, at the end of the episode, who I thought this guy was the main character, fucking dies. And I'm just like, whoa, what is this? Like it's really interested. I'm on the last 2 episodes right now, and I would love to see if it would have gotten more because I don't think this show was ending the way it should, at least in my mind. At least with these next 2 episodes, I gotta finish. So if there's more out there for it, I want it. So go and check out Talentless Nana. Check that out because it's an interesting show, very interesting.
I watched
Uh,
like maybe like half of it, so yeah, I agree with you.
Rakeem, what is a great series you feel got overlooked because there's too many shows now?
I feel like this show is is always on the brink of getting a buzz, but never quite gets there because it doesn't feel like it's on the pulse of like the greater shonen anime fan bases. World Trigger, and a part of that, not just there's too many shows. I think that first season, that first run of the season, because it had not that great animation and not as great pacing, people kind of like we've talked about this before. If a show doesn't catch your attention early because there's so many anime, you just move on to something else. And this is one I decided to stick with because it was recommended by another friend of mine, James Cox, who's a friend of ours as well. And I remember getting through that first season, and I enjoyed the latter half of it. And then season 2 was way, way better in every way. And I think that first season, because it didn't hit the ground running with that, I think they changed because there was a gap between season 1 and 2 of several years. And I think they might change studios. There's different animation budget, much better animation in the second season, all the way around. It just looks better. And because of that, I feel like if this had been the anime in the beginning, I think it would have had the ability to retain more people into being interested in the series. I think it's a great anime series for various reasons because it has a good, succinct understanding of tactics and strategy and teamwork, and the way it portrays that teamwork with the characters it has. I think it does it in a very unique way because you have a protagonist who is not particularly strong, who is not going to carry a team, but he's good at thinking things through and utilizing the teammates in different ways who do have specific talents that it can work together. And he's good at bringing those things together. And I think that's an interesting dynamic for a protagonist to have. I think the show has had higher reviews each season. Season 2 and 3 have reviewed much higher. So maybe it can get more popularity. But as of now, I think people are kind of sleeping on it.
Rakeem is selling me single-handedly on World Trigger with like what he said as far as like it getting better. I did bounce off of it. I looked at the outfits. I was like, man, these outfits generic as hell.
Yeah, that's
And I
another
just couldn't
problem.
do it,
Yeah.
you know,
That's another problem.
like them outfits was looking so generic. I just couldn't do it. But like
Tracksuits.
from what he's saying, it sounds like the fact that they improve on the show, the fact the writing improves, the tactics, use of tactics, which is so rare. It's usually just, oh, my bus is big, I'm gonna punch you in the mouth. Like it's usually that. Devin, what you got, man? Like, what's a great series you feel got overlooked because it's like just too many shows right now?
Okay, so there's one I watched, I think it came out last year, and I think it had some buzz around it when it first came out, but I think when people watched it, it kind of died a little bit, maybe. But I watched it all the way through the first season, and I thought it was decent. It's Record of Ragnarok. Some people I think were talking about the animation was a little. I admit some of the animation was a little janky,
It was.
and sometimes that can run people off. But I liked it. I'm actually anticipating the next season. I've seen some of the screenshots. It looks like it's animated better. And I don't, like I said, I don't know if it was maybe after people watched it, they kind of like, well, let me just throw this away. The animation trash, we ain't gonna give it no chance. But we gotta look at shows like Super. Them first few episodes, they had like 5 artists drawing Goku in their first or second episode in one scene. So that has staying power. People like this. So
I was gonna say, to be fair, it's Dragon Ball. People are gonna watch it
Dragon
even if it
Ball.
moves
Hey,
at like
it's
2
gonna-
frames per
yeah.
second.
Yeah. But I mean, that's kind of unforgivable. That's still kind of unforgivable though. You got 5 Goku looked like he went through 5 different artists and like one still. But I like I said, I think it was dope. The fights were dope. The story, I mean, it's kind of one of the stories with just like people running hands, but sometimes you just like to see people run hands in anime.
It's a unique concept.
You got this guy that's Adam basically wearing the leaf, and he out here just running hands with Zeus and stuff. So hopefully this next season they can get some of the iron the kinks, and hopefully it won't be like 7 Deadly Sins where one of those seasons was just like you know, I don't, because that
Bro,
was
it's
one
so stiff.
that was one that I was actually into, but even I kind of lost interest partially because of that, and it just didn't seem as good. So hopefully it doesn't hit that type of thing, because I was like, wait a minute, this ain't the same Seven Deadly Sins I started watching before. This is the 5 dangerous plots or something. It can't be 7 deadly sins.
5 deadly venoms.
You know. But I hope the record of Ragnarok can, like I said, people will have some buzz about it. I know it was like inspired off a webtoon or something like that. But hopefully this second season, I think that's coming up, can get get rid of some of those loose ends, and hopefully get some more hands being run. So
I got a lot of shows. I'm gonna run through them real quick. I do feel like Bastard is probably got the most hype that of any Netflix show, just because of I think the promotion and stuff. But I feel like Netflix shows in general, like once you get trapped in that Netflix prison, it's a problem. I feel like Carol and Tuesday never got the shine that it should have gotten because it was trapped on
you
Netflix.
ain't never lying. You ain't never lying.
That show, like, to have like a black protagonist and like a black actress for the dub, like that shit.
Well,
that's gonna get under my skin for a while.
So you're talking about the fact they didn't have a black actress for the dub?
Yeah.
They
that
did.
Shit gonna get under my skin.
Yeah,
that's gonna get under my skin for a while.
Yeah,
but like the show itself was good, and it was done by like the creator of Cowboy Bebop, or he was connected to. I think he might have been just producer, but he was definitely involved with it. I'm like, damn, this show could have been some good, some fire, but like, I mean, it still is fire, but like, it never got the publicity it should have gotten because it was on Netflix, and with Netflix, you get like the anime just not built for that binge. Like you can binge it, but it's built to be like that weekly. We got to talk about this type shit. So like, it's unfortunate. I got a list of like 9 that I thought of, and we just gonna keep it to the real 3. And I'm gonna be real quick about it. Extreme Hearts. I talked about this earlier in the year. I think it was a summer series. It was about this girl who wanted to become an idol, but nobody was listening to her shit. And like somebody was like, "Yup, if you want somebody to listen to your music, the best chance you got now is to enter this competition. Sports. They got to do in every type of sport possible: basketball, football, soccer, football. They had her doing like basically every kind of sport she could, and she had to like find some teammates to team up with. And so they go from being like it's one idol to like a whole idol group, and they all just doing all types of sports activities. And then periodically they get an opportunity to actually sing and like grow their fan base and become like, you know, the stars they're trying to be. Beautiful show. It's animated by I want to say 7 Arcs. It's done by the creator of Nanoha, which is a big deal for me because I'm such a big Nanoha fan. And then the other 2 that I'm gonna bring up, wow, I'm gonna have to leave one out. Oh well. The other 2 I'm gonna bring up, Blood Blockade Battlefront. It's from the creator of Trigun. That show is superb. Like one of my favorite.
I know you brought that up a lot. Yeah.
One of my favorite anime of all time. Top, I think 10 for me. It's so good. Like,
hey, making a Sage top 10. Hey, you all gotta pay attention to it.
You should not just because it's a Sage top 10, just because it's so excellent. It's such a great show. The protagonist is just such a likable guy. He doesn't have he's not godlike powerful. He's just got like this eye that lets him see every fucking thing. Literally anything in the world he can see, and it helps them find like certain vampires and find their weaknesses, because up until that point vampires have been invincible. And like so and it's like he works with this organization called Libra. They go around solving crimes in basically like a supernatural version of New York City called Hell Salem's Lot. Really good show. First season veers off from the manga a little bit. Second season more faithful, but both seasons great. I recommend it to anybody that likes lots of action, lots of like not quite horror, but like thriller and like supernatural type shit. That's gonna be your that's gonna be your speed. I can guarantee you. Music is great. Everything about like characters, stylish. It's just perfect. And then me and Keem have talked about this show a lot, but it just don't get the heat that it need to have. Legend of the Galactic Heroes. My God, that show is incredible. Probably the best space show you'll ever watch. Short of Gundam. I don't think too much anything can compare. It's just such a great show. Such smart writing, genius characters, beautiful animation from Production IG. Just something that everybody should be watching. And like I feel like in another, and it is a remake, but it's also like that's the The original shit, the OG series, like 110 episodes. This is like starting from scratch, like you starting from the beginning. It's on, I think, season 4 now. So it's, I think at this point, closer to 48 episodes, but still,
I need to finish that season too. Thanks for reminding me.
same. But like, it's one of those shows that like everybody should be trying it, but there's so much stuff, and everybody only want to watch shonen when they do want to watch something, and so it's going over a lot of people's heads, and that shit sucks. But yeah, those are my 3, and I think that's gonna wrap it up for this week's episode. If you enjoyed it, I need a few things from you. I need you to do us a favor and hit that subscription button on YouTube. I need you to follow us on Twitter and TikTok. I definitely need you to tell your friends, your grandmama, your granddaddy, your mama, your daddy, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, everybody. Tell everybody about us. And do me a personal favor and have an excellent week. Peace.